In this lesson, you'll learn how to wash your knits, how to fluff them after they've been washed, and tricky patterns. If your knits are well felted, they can handle a quick wash of 15 minutes in the washing machine. Now, once you get them out of the machine, they look pretty scary. Don't panic. This is just how they look, and we'll fluff them up so they look gorgeous again. But the beauty about machine washing them is once you've done this for 15 minutes, they don't shed at all. Like, the shedding is almost zilch. They can be fluffed up by pinching and pulling to fluff the outside up, and it just makes kind of a hollow inside, and the outside is still completely felted, but it fluffs up like really beautifully. Now, this does take a long time, but the beauty is once you've done this, you only have to do it once. I put this back in the machine again, and it actually kept its fluffing. So fluff them up. This also helps it dry really fast. It does take a long time. It takes me about 2 hours to fluff a 1 kilo blanket. This is 30 by 30 inches, and it took about 2 hours to fluff, but it's a one-time thing, and it really makes your blankets look gorgeous. The before and after is just mind-boggling. Let's just speed things up here so you can see how it's taking shape, and then I'll show you a side-by-side shot. There you go. See the difference? Side by side, huge difference. This is before, and here comes the after. Massive difference. You see how big of a difference this makes, and this is fully washed and fully felted. Okay, moving on to tricky patterns. If you haven't noticed yet, knitting with needle patterns are not the same as arm knitting patterns. With needles, you turn your work, so the pattern is going to be different to accommodate that. With arm knitting, you never turn your work. So, if you're knitting with needles, usually it will say, knit 1 row, then you turn your work, purl 1 row, knit 1 row, purl 1 row, to get a nice even knit like this, where one side is all purling and the other side is all knitting. However, when it comes to knitting with your arms, because we don't turn our work, usually it'll just say like rows 1 through 12, knit all stitches. Apart from the ends, which are usually KTBL'd, and then the first stitch in each row, is slipped. So that is the difference. So if you're finding a pattern online on Pinterest, really be cautious that it is written for needles, so you will have to do some adjusting. For this heart blanket, it was written for a pattern with needles, so it said to knit all the rows. So I knew I shouldn't knit all the rows because I was doing it with arms and I wasn't turning it. So I knitted 1 row, purled 1 row, knitted 1 row, purled 1 row, and I got the exact same look as they would have with needles if they would have knitted every row and done the turns. I hope you've enjoyed these arm knitting lessons. You now know all of the basics, but remember, this is only the tip of the iceberg. The amount of stuff that you can do with what you've learned and with more techniques is endless. You can make stone rugs with the leftover scraps of your wool roving, and there's boatloads of other projects that you can make with wool roving, as well as arm knits. You can do tons of other stuff. If you're buying the 1-year membership all together at once, remember you get a 50% off discount because you've gone through this course using the coupon code YES. That's Y-E-S, YES. And if you want to just pay monthly, that's fine. You can do that through our Patreon page. It is actually the full $37 a month if you do it that way, but you can cancel at any time. Please join me in the open arm knitting and Facebook group I have. You're welcome to show off your knits there, chat about what you would like, what video tutorials you would like to see next, and we're all there to support each other and have a good time with wool roving, and arm knitting. I'll see you next time. This is Stacy from Truly Majestic. Happy arm knitting!